thought that I would do a sort of like infertility update for anybody that's interested. Definitely, if you are not interested, feel free to click out. I'm not forcing anybody to watch this. I just wanted to sort of give an update on what our situation is for anybody that watched my original video on my husband's craniopharyngioma and how we've been sort of experiencing, well, not sort of, but we have experienced infertility because of his surgery. And up until this point, I filmed that video about a year ago, and up until this point we haven't had any real updates. So I've sort of mentioned it a little bit in my Get Ready With Me's, but I know that a few guys that have had my husband's condition have found that video, so I definitely did want to post sort of a separate update video in case people who are following me for that reason wanted an update. I did want to give like an actual specific video update. So I'm going to link my original video down below in case you haven't watched it and you're interested in what our condition is and sort of the history of my husband's condition and our struggles. I will leave that link down below and you can watch that. It's 36 minutes long. It's long, but it's very detailed, and it outlines his history and then sort of like the beginning process of our fertility treatments and stuff like that. So where we are right now, I think the last time when I filmed that video, which was last September, we had just gotten his first semen analysis back that actually had a number. Up until that point, he hadn't had a count for at least 5 years. So he had only been tested once before he had his surgery, and he had a count of 53 million back then. So we wanted to make sure that he was fertile before we did his surgery, so that, because the doctor that we had back then told us that it wouldn't be an issue to sort of get pregnant after he was on testosterone, which was once he had the surgery. And okay, I'm not going to go into the whole the history of the video, because I could be here explaining that forever, but basically he was fine before the surgery. His doctor said that after the surgery, when we wanted kids, we would be okay with a few tweaks of medicines to get pregnant again, and we found that that wasn't the case. So his count was 53 million before the surgery, and then for about 5 years his count was 0 because testosterone knocks it pretty much is male birth control, but it's a lot harder to rebound than sort of like women fertility when they're on birth control. So definitely, if you're a male on testosterone and you want kids, I would suggest highly that you find other treatment, because it's an expensive fix to sort of reverse what testosterone does to your body. So when we went to his doctor in September, his count came back at 0.7 million, which is literally, it's not anything significant, but it's not nothing. So we started to see improvement. So, and then we went back again in December, and his count was, I believe it was like 9 million. So it was improving with each time that we went. So then we went again 3 months later. I think we were there in April, and his count was like 22 million. So it was steadily getting better and better and better. So his doctor at that point said he didn't need to see us again for 6 months since his numbers were improving. There was no point, because we're paying out of pocket for all of our infertility stuff. Our insurance covers nothing. So our doctor at that point said that he didn't need to see him for at least 6 months because there was nothing else that he was going to do except monitor. And since his numbers were improving, there was like no point wasting the money for tests and doctor's visits. So after April, when his numbers came back at 22 million, everything was good except for morphology. His morphology was at 2% in April, and it should be above, what do they say? They should be 40%, or maybe 30%. It should be 15% or higher is normal, I guess. And he was at 2%, which only means, because morphology is like the shape of the sperm, so they're the ones that can actually, you know, get to an egg and fertilize it and stuff. So his morphology is low, but because his doctor, his numbers were getting higher, he's like, you know, it's not going to be that big of a deal because you've got more in there, that the 2% number, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. So we tried and tried and tried. We were trying for months. We tried for about 4 months after that, and then I was tired. We were fighting all the time, and it was just, you know, it's not a way you want to bring a child into this world. And, you know, infertility in general, it's really hard because it really weighs on us. Because for a long time we thought it was just my husband. So I'm going to get to my husband first for all the men that were watching that want to know about this information, then I'll get on to me. So where we are right now. So because I went to a fertility doctor, we also had him tested again just because our insurance was going to cover it with a new doctor. I guess it doesn't cover tests with the other doctor because this other doctor already classified as infertile, and so all of his subsequent tests are going to cost us money. I don't know. Either way, it was paid for with this other fertility doctor that we went to. So we had his numbers done again because I wanted to know what they were. So his total count right now is 165.6 million, which is more than what it was before he even had the surgery. So he's definitely at a number now where he's in a good place. And all of his other numbers are also really good too. So let's see. His motility is 82%, and then in his original, before he had the surgery, it was 57%. So it's definitely a lot. A lot of things are improving. So I guess I'll go over these numbers. His concentration is 92 milliliters. You know what? I'm not going to go over these numbers because I don't know what they mean. But the only ones that matter are his count, which is 165 million, his motility, which is 82%, and then, so it says total motile sperm are 136 million, so that's the good ones. And then his vitality, which is morphology, or no, his morphology is 1%, so it went down. So his morphology is not where it should be, and so we asked his doctor what he can do about that, because he's already on, like I've said in the other video, he's on HCG and he's on HMG. He was on HCG for like 6 months, and it brought his testosterone up, but it did nothing for his count. So once he went on the HMG, that's what brought his numbers up. So you need a combination of the HCG and the HMG to get fertility back after testosterone. And guys, I cannot stress enough how expensive it is. It is, especially when your insurance doesn't cover infertility. It's so expensive. And if you are ever in a situation where you need to be put on synthetic testosterone, but I detest this stuff. This stuff is terrible. It was so bad for my husband. We need to find a way to get him to stay on the HCG once he's done with the fertility stuff, because it has been so much better to be a testosterone replacement than actual synthetic testosterone, because he was on Axiron, he was on Testum. That stuff, it's awful. And I always worry about him being on that stuff because I don't want to lose my husband to like cancer at 40 or something because of the shit that he's on. But in our case, he has no choice. Like, every fiber of my being wants to do everything as natural as possible. And in our situation, he can't, because when he does not have some kind of testosterone replacement, he's depressed. He's just not, he's not himself, and, in other ways than just depression, and as a guy, I'm sure you understand what that means. But in his case, and because of his condition and the tumor that was on his pituitary gland that sort of like knocked everything out, he's on Synthroid probably for life, which is, for his thyroid. He's on desmopressin probably for life. He's off the prednisone. I don't know if I mentioned that he was being weaned off the prednisone in my last video, but he's completely off the prednisone now. It took a year for him to wean off the baby dose that he was on. He was on 2.5 micrograms. It took a year to wean off of that. That stuff's terrible too. He was on it for about 3 years, and then it took him a year to wean off. So he's off the prednisone, but he's also probably going to have to take HGH, which is the human growth hormone, for his whole life. These are things that'll never be replaced by his body. Like, his body just completely shut down these hormones. So as much as it hurts me that he's on these things and I don't know what they're doing to his body long term, because we've only been in this situation for about 5 years, I'm scared for the future. Like, I have no idea what this means for his body. I don't know if, like, his organs are going to start failing. I don't know. I don't know what this means. And I mean, we're not even 30 yet, and I'm scared. So I don't know where I was going with that. But as much as I want to do everything natural, sometimes it's just not possible. So in his case, he needs to be on testosterone for the rest of his life because his body no longer produces it on its own. And in our experience, the HCG is a better testosterone replacement than the synthetic testosterone that's available on the market. So after we got his morphology results back and his doctor said it's at 1%, I asked her if there's anything that we can do to sort of like bump that number up. And she said it's all about like vitamins and antioxidants. So he's actually on a fertility blend right now. I didn't bring it in here, but it's at GNC. It's like the male fertility thing that they sell at GNC. And she said it's vitamin E, vitamin C, selenium, and zinc are the things that sort of help that number. So he's taking like a fertility blend of vitamins, and I checked it. It's all stuff that I would put in my own body, so I definitely would give it to my husband. So he's on that to hopefully boost his numbers up. So that's where he's at. Fertility after testosterone replacement is definitely possible. It's very expensive, and I haven't gone into how much money we've spent on this, but we're over $20,000 at this point just on my husband's medicine alone. So definitely, if you're ever in a position where you need to go on testosterone replacement or some sort of testosterone therapy or something like that, get your semen stored, because it's probably cheaper to just do a round of IVF than it is to do what we've done, because guys, it's expensive. And it's a frustrating process because for like a year we didn't even know if it was going to work. We were spending all this money on medicine that we didn't see any numbers. Like, we saw it in his hormones. His hormone levels were getting better, but we didn't see it in his numbers. So we were worried for a long time that his numbers weren't going to improve and we were going to have spent all this money for nothing. But I don't know if it depends on how long you've been on testosterone. My husband was only on it for about 3 years when he came off of it. He stopped it cold turkey because we realized what it had done to him and how much of a mistake this was. So I don't know if it depends how long you've been on testosterone replacement. I don't know if 3 years versus 10 years, if it makes any difference in the numbers coming back. But in our case, when my husband was on testosterone replacement for 3 years, he was able to get his numbers back, but it took a lot of money. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of emotional distress. It took a lot of depression. It took a lot of anger. There was a lot of things in there, but we got the numbers back. So for the men that are on testosterone replacement, it is possible. But I highly recommend, if you're ever in a situation where you know there might be a problem later, just get your sperm stored, because honestly, it would be much cheaper than this route. And I mean, like I said, I don't know that there are any guarantees that this would work for anybody else. So I can only speak on what we have done. And had we known in the beginning, we would have had his sperm stored. It would have been so much easier. So that's my recommendation, and that's my husband's condition at this point. So his numbers are definitely improving. If they're at 165 million now, like the next time we go in, they're probably going to be at like 300 million or some ridiculous number. I don't know when they'll stop. I don't know what like the highest number is that men have. So, as we've never been there. So his condition is improving. The only number that needs work is morphology, which we're hoping gets worked out with these vitamins. So we'll definitely have to see, and I'll keep you updated on that when I do have an update next time. So if you are only interested in sort of like the male portion of this version, I'm done now, because I'm going to talk about the female portion of this version of this infertility video. So like I said, we had been trying for like 4 months after the doctor came back and his numbers said we're good. We were using those ovulation sticks and we were doing everything at all the right times, and nothing was happening, and I was severely frustrated. Like I said, we were fighting all the time, and it was just, we were at a place where we just decided to just stop until I could get tested because it wasn't worth it. So in August, I went and had some testing done. I talked to my doctor. Like, I found a reproductive doctor that I was comfortable with. Up until that point, I hadn't found one that I liked, so I found one. I researched for like weeks. I found one that I really wanted to go see because she had really good reviews and that kind of thing, so we went and saw her. It's Bloom Reproductive out in Gilbert, and there's another office in Scottsdale if anybody's in my area that, if you're looking for a doctor. Dr. Behera from Bloom Reproductive, I love her. I love her so much. She's definitely like the best doctor that I've found so far. So we went and saw her in August. So we just talked to her a little bit. She asked us about you know, how long we've been trying and, you know, everything else, like history and all that kind of thing. So she said, based on like what we had told her originally, it didn't sound like there might be anything wrong, but she, you know, she wanted to do tests just to make sure. So she did the, what is it called? Is it HSG? It's the one where they, you know, shoot dye into your uterus to sort of see if there's any blockage or whatever, which is the most god-awful, uncomfortable, painful procedure I've ever done in my life. So she did that, so I went and had that done, and she found that both of my tubes were actually blocked, which was probably causing us most of the issues, is because my tubes were blocked. She said my left side is less healthy than my right side. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means my left side isn't good at all, or if it's just because the blockage was so bad on that side. Maybe my right side's my only good one. I don't know. But she said my left side is less healthy, but my right side is okay because that one I guess flushed easier. But they were both blocked. So then she did like an ultrasound, and she said I had like an egg on my right side that was, it looked like it was getting ready or whatever. So then she's like, I would be surprised if you're not pregnant within like a month. So at the same time they did blood tests, and obviously it's October and I'm not pregnant, so I wasn't pregnant. She got my hopes up because I was like really excited that we were going to go home and everything was going to be fine and dandy and we wouldn't have to go back or anything. So of course I wasn't pregnant. 2 months later, and then I made an appointment, we made a follow-up appointment to go see her again, and we saw her last week. So when we saw her, she said, other than like my tubes being blocked, the only other thing that might be, or that is causing us a problem, is my hormones. So I guess my adrenals are, is it androgens? She didn't give me my, I forgot to ask for my blood work. I think it's my androgen levels are higher than they should be. She said everything else looks fine, but my androgen levels, I hope that's right, are higher than they should be. So she did say that I have a mild case of PCOS. So it's not like full-blown PCOS. I don't have like cysts on my ovaries or anything, but I do have like the hormone imbalance, which is causing like irregular periods. My periods aren't super irregular, at least they haven't been. I mean, ever since I've been off the pill, it's sort of varied between like 31 and 37 days, which I guess it is irregular because it should be the same. The only time I've ever, I don't know, I was on the pill for 12 years of my life, and all the time that I've been off the pill, it's been like this, so I don't know. Maybe it's irregular and I just don't know it. I don't know what regular is, I don't know what irregular is, I don't know. But either way, I know I'm not ovulating at the same time every month, because every time I'm doing those sticks, it varies. Like sometimes it happens in the middle, sometimes it happens more towards the end, sometimes it doesn't happen at all, I don't know. So those stick things are stupid and they're a waste of money in my opinion, because I haven't had any good results with those. But I guess it's because I have PCOS, which, because I've been on the pill for most of my life, I would have not had any idea, because the pill is sort of like the treatment for PCOS, which is in my research in the last week is what I found. And honestly, the diagnosis of PCOS sort of makes sense. And it sort of explains a lot that I've been going through that I haven't really been able to figure out. Like the neck and chin, like this acne that I've had right here that's been terrible for the last like 6 months. It explains that. It explains like the hair loss and like the fact that I have like no hair in the front of my head, because I guess it stimulates, or it simulates like male pattern baldness, which is, you know, of course you get bald up here. So that explains that. That explains the hair loss. I'm just a little bit angry at the other doctors that I've been to that haven't looked for that when I've told them the same symptoms, like the acne and the hair loss. Like, why is that? I guess it's a pretty, like, in my research, I guess it's a pretty common diagnosis for women. It's like, it affects like 10 million of childbearing age years of women or something like that. So, I mean, it frustrates me that it took this long for us to figure it out. But I guess it's a good thing now, because now we know that there's stuff that we can do to hopefully still get pregnant. So I guess where we are at right now, I have a mild case of PCOS, and she told me that she's sort of classifying it as like a mild cases because I don't show all of the typical symptoms of PCOS. Like I've got the hormone and the acne thing, but it's not as severe as like most people, and she attributes that to my healthy diet and my healthy lifestyle. I don't exercise, which I've read can actually help PCOS, the symptoms of it. So I do need to start getting more active to try to help it. Right now I'm actually sort of tweaking my diet a little bit. So she said because I am so healthy and I eat so healthy, it's actually kept the symptoms down, versus if I ate sort of like a standard American diet or I ate really shitty, I might be way worse off, or I would be way worse off. So I really do attribute my vegan diet and my vegan lifestyle to a lot of things in my life. I am like the healthiest person that I know. I have been sick maybe 2 times in the last 5 years, and that's only been with like a cold, and I've only been out for like a day, versus where when I ate shitty food, I would be out with the flu for 2 weeks. So I really do think that not only is veganism like it's the best thing for this planet, it's the best thing for our bodies. And not just because I love animals and because it's like an animal thing. The vegan diet for me has really, it's really kept me like the healthiest that I could ever possibly be. Like I have 0 cholesterol. My body is just supremely healthy, and I attribute that to veganism. And you know, now especially with the PCOS, I definitely attribute that I don't have as severe a case as I could have because I'm a vegan and the vegan diet. So I definitely, I don't want to tell anybody what to do because obviously it's your choice, but I definitely feel like if PCOS is something that you struggle with and it's something that you know you have, I really, really would recommend that you at least give vegan diet for a try for a few months, because you might be surprised at what it could do for you. Like obviously I cannot say that it's going to cure you, because obviously it's not a cure for me, because I mean I still have it even though I'm a vegan, but because I've got it less severe than what it could be. So I mean, again, I can never tell anybody what to do. I can only recommend that you do the research and you know, try it. So the way that I've been tweaking my diet, I did read that sugar and carbohydrates really sort of can trigger the symptoms. So I've cut out sugar. I'm not eating any refined sugar, and I'm pretty much avoiding all sugars in general. I've eaten some fruit, but I'm trying to even avoid that because I've read that bananas can even be sort of like a trigger. Not that I eat that many bananas, but I do put them in smoothies and stuff. So I haven't had any refined sugar in the last week and a half, and I haven't had hardly any fruit in that time either. So I definitely have already started to notice a difference, at least in my acne, except for when I've been super stressed out the last couple of days. So I know that's picked it up a little bit, but it's started to clear up almost like immediately once I stopped the sugar. And I'm giving up all white flour in general. Like occasionally I would still eat it, like when I bake things, or like when I'm out, I'm not going to worry about eating white bread or whatever, like in sandwiches or, you know, whatever. But I've definitely made a lot more of an effort to avoid that kind of situation. So when I'm out somewhere and the only option they have is like white tortillas or white bread, I'll skip it all together and I'll just eat a salad or something like that, or I'll eat whole grain when there is that option. So I've definitely been avoiding as many carbohydrates as possible in bread form. But when I do eat it, I'm still eating wheat, but only when it's like whole wheat or like multigrain, or it's, you know, it's not the white stuff. So for now, all I'm doing is avoiding sugar and wheat and white flour, because I want to sort of start there. I don't want to go too extreme with like the rest of my diet, because my diet's already, I don't want to say it's restrictive, because that gives sort of like the vegan diet a bad name. It's not restrictive, but it's, you know what, it's just healthier. You know, in general, we shouldn't be eating as much sugar as we eat, and the same with bread. We shouldn't be eating as much white bread as we're eating. Like, it's just healthier. So I feel like 20 times better since I've given up the sugar and the white bread, and I'm just going to keep continuing that. I have been dreaming about like biscuits lately, and I know that's going to become a problem, so I need to find sort of like either gluten-free or a wheat biscuit recipe, so I can sort of get like my bread fix in every once in a while. But sweets was never something that I needed. You know, it's not something I needed. in my life before, and I've always tried to get my husband to get off the sweets, but you know, he's a sugarholic, and I don't know what I'm going to do to get him to eat healthier, because he just absolutely refuses to eat healthier. I mean, I've got him on as vegan diet as possible, as I can monitor, but he still eats fish and dairy every once in a while and stuff. So, okay, so aside from the diet, so now that we found out that I've got PCOS, and again, I'm going to say this like I said this before, every fiber of my being wants to do this like as naturally as possible. But in our situation, if we want kids biologically, it's just not going to happen. We've been trying for almost 3 years, and I'm so tired, and I'm so ready to just be done with all this stuff. But I want a baby of my own. That's just, it's a need that I have. I really want to carry my own child, and so what we're sort of waiting on right now is I'm going to start a cycle of Clomid. I wanted to do this update too because I needed to get some opinions on people, or not even like opinions, but I needed to get some feedback from people who have been through this. If you've been on Clomid or if you have PCOS, like I sort of want to, I want to start talking to people because I need all the research and, you know, like feedback I can get about this. So we're going to start a round of Clomid soon. We're waiting for my period to start again because I was supposed to start it on Tuesday, and it's been pretty consistent the last few months. My cycle has been like 34 days. But of course this month, because I'm waiting for it, it's late because I've been stressed out and because my hormones are just like all out of whack again. So I'm on day 37 right now. So I don't know when it's going to start, but I'm supposed to start it when my cycle starts. So that's what we're waiting on right now. It should start by Monday. I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on with my body, so. But I wanted to know people's experience with Clomid, if you've been on it, if you know someone that's been on it. I sort of need more information because I haven't done as much research on Clomid as I should. So I don't know much about it, what it does to you, that kind of thing, but I'm willing to try I'm willing to give all the options that we have a try until we've exhausted all of our options, because I so badly just want a baby of my own, and I'm gonna be 30 next year. And I know that the older as I get, the chances are that this will happen for us are gonna go down, and with my husband on this ever-increasing cost of fertility medicine, we're at a really bad place right now, like financially. I'll be honest though, my dad has been helping us. My dad is the best dad in the whole entire world. Like, he will do anything for me to make sure that I'm happy, and I love my dad so much, and he wants nothing more than, you know, for me to have what I want. So we don't have insurance helping us, but we do have my dad helping, and he said that he will help us until I say stop. So I had a conversation with him about it last week because it's going to start getting even more expensive. And I made the mistake of calling my mom. My mom and I we don't have a good relationship, and we haven't pretty much my whole life, you know. My mom has pretty much always told me I can't do what I want to do. She doesn't support me in anything that I want to do. She'll claim that she does, but then when it actually comes to it, she doesn't actually support me. So the last conversation that we had, I asked her if she'd be willing to help out because my dad has been paying for this the whole way through, and I felt kind of bad because I'm asking for my dad for more and more money. And, you know, I felt bad that I was doing so, and so I asked my mom if she'd be willing to help us, and basically she told me she thinks that we should stop trying because she doesn't think it's worth it. She doesn't think that we should, like, she doesn't think that we should continue trying to have a baby. But then she goes on to tell me that she thinks we should just adopt instead, and I'm like, you're telling us you don't think it's a good idea to continue to try to have a baby because of how expensive it is, but yet you want us to adopt where's that money going to come from? Because that costs money too. So basically, a lot of people have really good relationships with their moms, but I don't. My mom is not somebody who supports me. She's not somebody who cares about me. She cares about herself, and my dad has always cared about me on a level that my mom will just never care about me. And, you know, maybe I'm getting way too personal for YouTube right now, but I think I'm just done with my mom. I can't continue to force myself to have a relationship with somebody who just doesn't care about me, and I need people in my life who care about me, and I've been throwing away the people in my, well, not throwing away, but I've been getting rid of the people in my life who are toxic and don't care about me, and my mom is just the next one. So, you know, that's probably really painful for a lot of people to hear, because, you know, you have a good relationship with your mom, but I just don't, and I can't continue to have people in my life who don't support me, so that's the mom issue right now. My dad is like a saint, and I don't know what I'll ever do without my dad. This video is not about my dad. So my dad has told me that he will help us until we're ready to stop trying, and then once we've exhausted all of our fertility options, he will help us with adoption, and maybe that's where we'll end up a year from now, I don't know. So, where we are right now is we're going to be starting around a Clomid probably next week. We're going to see where that goes, try it for a couple of months. If that doesn't work, we might, we're probably going to do IUI. If that doesn't work, I don't know about IVF. I assume we might try a round of IVF, but I don't think we can do more than one round of IVF. I just don't think, I don't know that I would have that in me. But, you know, I do think that we will adopt at some point if we want more than one child. If we manage to have one child, at least biologically, I think we will adopt our second baby, because I'm no idiot to the fact that there are so many children out there that need homes, and I do want to adopt, but right now my need is for a child of my own, because I've always wanted to carry a child, and it's not just, I fear that with adoption, if I don't have my own baby first, I won't have that connection that I need with a child, because I don't connect with other people's kids. I'm severely afraid that if we go to adopt, I'm not going to connect with a baby that's not mine. That's my fear with adoption. Is I don't have a problem. I need to calm down. I don't have a problem with the concept and the theory of adoption. I'm just afraid for myself that I won't connect with an adopted baby right away. That's my fear. And I don't want to put a child through that if I don't know if I can even, I don't know. That's my fear with adoption. I do want to adopt. It is something that I want, but I'm afraid. So that's where we are right now with treatments and stuff. So the fear that I had for a long time, I definitely, it's like I knew that we would be dealing with like double infertility. So my husband's infertility plus my infertility makes things extra hard. So that's where we are. I'll definitely keep you guys updated. Maybe I'll do like a mini update after this cycle of Clomid, see how it goes, and I'll let you know how that goes. But I do want to know if any of you guys have been on Clomid or know somebody that's been on Clomid. Please let me know, because I really want to talk to somebody about it, like first-hand experience. So please, definitely please comment. I know sometimes that I don't get a lot of comments, and this is a video that I would like some comments and some feedback on, because I'm really struggling. Most days I have a hard time keeping it together. So I'm hopeful that we'll have our own baby someday, but I'm definitely scared. Another fear that I have is that any child that we do have, because of our history, because of the struggles that we've been through with my husband's birth control, like I didn't have the best childhood. Like I was on all kinds of medication when I was a kid because my mom didn't know how to handle me, and all I ended up being was like hypoglycemic. So I definitely dealt with like blood sugar issues when I was a kid. So my husband's surgery plus all of the medicines that he's on, like all these fertility treatments, I'm definitely afraid that any child that we have is not going to be normal, I guess, or healthy. I'm afraid I'm afraid. I'm just really afraid. My battery's dying, so I can't continue to cry here for that long, but I need you guys to like pray for us, because we really need help right now. I'm struggling with what the best decision is, and I'm struggling. I'm struggling with what the best decision is versus what's the right thing to do here, so I'm gonna be done now, but that's our story as of right now, and this is another long video. I did not expect it to go this long, and I always sit here and I say I'm not gonna cry, and then I cry, so definitely I need some people to reach out and talk to me, so I'm done now, so I'm gonna go.